Everybody, I have got another build for you. It is personally one of my favorite in terms of simplicity and easy leveling. Um, might not be the best build for the high-end Reaper game at the end, but definitely a build that chalks you up through even solo R4 to R6 at the end. Um, so let's break it down. So it is a pure Warlock, so 20 Warlock, max Charisma, dump your con, pretty straightforward stuff. The idea here is that you are going to be a CC burst in the middle kind of Warlock. You can even get a little bit tanky with your temporary hit points. So I did not make a stat sheet from it because I've done it so many times, but pretty straightforward. Max your Charisma, dump your con. I even have a little bit into intels for some extra skill points. That's kind of up to you there if you prefer a different stat, but I think the skill points are useful because you are after concentration's nice, intimidate's nice, UMD, spellcraft for some extra spell power, and then on top of that I had some extra balance, extra bluff, haggle. Those are really extra, but the main ones are concentration, which is also not insanely needed, but so I'd say main ones are intimidate, spellcraft. UMD is always nice to have, especially on a warlock because you're expected to have it since you're a charisma build anyways. Feat wise, let's break down our feats. So leveling up, pretty easy feats. You take some meta magics. You could definitely switch these out if you want to be more on the tankier side instead of the burstier side. But some meta magics for empower, maximize, quicken. You can take. There's so many drop downs now. So I am draconic or half dragon. So I took acid because this is build is built around some acid spells. I took spell pen feats. Spell pen, greater spell pen. I didn't take epic spell pen. I think I've only got one favorite soul pass life. If you've got maxed out of your wizard and favorite soul pass life, you might be able to get away without some of these. If you don't have those, you definitely should take the spell pen feats as you need them. For spell focus, I did start to take the enchantment line and kind of build out of it at the end. Again, here, maybe you take all the way up. Really depends on what you have the room for. So that is your leveling up feats, as the rest of these are warlock feats. So epically, let me get up to epic. I took embolden spell, epic eldritch blast, intensify, and epic spellpen. I did take epic spellpen. I'm sorry, I thought I didn't. Oh, I didn't take epic spell focus enchantment. I took epic spellpen instead. Because here I was thinking 4 spellpen versus 1 possible for enchant. It sounds kind of silly. They really ought to change that epic spell or epic spell focus to give 2 or 3. I think that'd be a solid change for the game because just 1 seems like a waste of an epic feat. And then destiny feats, I've got acid and force, since those are my main 2 spell damage, epic pack die, and arcane pulse because you really do lack boss damage as you are really a sustained AoE damage. So that arcane pulse gives you that little bit of extra edge for some bosses. Let's go into spells. Nothing too insanely particular here besides obviously we are kind of a CC monster, so we're going to do hold monster enchant and then hold monster tentacles. And I took arcane tempest. Like I said, you're an AoE, so it's nice to have. You could definitely mix this and go the necro route if you wanted to with finger of death and whale instead, but that's not what I chose to do. So that's the leveling process. Let's get into our action point trees. So again, you are draconic. I debated on what race, but since I figured I was going acid, I would try the dragonborn to get into some extra acid. So here you grab some extra threat, some extra charisma for some more DCs on your spells, dragon breath because it's great leveling up, some extra breath DCs, extra acid power, and wings. I wanted the wings because I knew I wouldn't sit in the draconic tree at the end game, so it's nice to have wings from here. You are in a light and spirit build, so you take the bottom all the way through to get your extra hit points, as well as your aura ticking every 2 seconds, as you can see it in the background here. You take as many of these as you allow to get in these extra aura buffs. Here's for your light power and universal spell power. This is shield because I hate magic missile and it sucks when it's casted against me. Charisma, free displacement, your temporary hit points based on your con, and then your 2 aura bursts. Here you could get rid of this if you wanted to. I kept it because there's some. I eventually ended up in. I think I am in medium armor. My final build was going to be light armor if I stuck it out and grinded all the gear. And I'll show the gear that I was thinking about here at the end. And then this is also great. Temporary hit points equal to your con every 2 seconds essentially, doubled up in epic. So there's like a free 100 hit points every 2 seconds. Great thing. Then my second tree, what I'd consider is you come over here first to the Fade Arc Illusionist to get color spray. How do you get there? It doesn't really matter too much. Extra charisma is nice, but this is really just to get up to the color spray here. And then I had 1 point or 2 points left over, so I took the extra crit chance up here. And then the rest I spent in the Tainted Scholar for some extra pack die damage, as well as some percent crit damage, or spell critical percent damage, as well as getting the temporary hit point possibility from here too, because you really can stack up quite a few hit points. This gives you 50% of your maximum hit points. So when you're in Reaper and you got 2,800, you know, you're talking 1,400 from here potentially, another 600 from here potentially, as well as another 800 or so from here. How much does this give? 730. So a little extra in Reaper. So quite a bit. So let's jump into Destinies real quick, because Destinies are really what makes this build. And surprisingly, it's really the Primal Avatar that seems like the main thing in this build, even though you only put 12 points in it. So with that being said, I hope my audio was okay, because my mic was a little far away, I just realized. But with that being said, you obviously, like I said, you're an acid build, so you take the Carrion Swarm here, Cocoon, Shard Storm, some extra charisma, and then the temporary hit points from Shard Storm. And I've got some gameplay to show of leveling up epically as well as endgame epic, and I'm going to make a video to show that. But this is about one of the easiest builds I've ever ran through, and I've done it a couple times. If you want to look something that can just fly through, say R4, R5, all the way through, this is your ticket. Very easy build. You do go Shirati. To be honest, I go Shirati endgame. When I'm leveling up epically, I actually sit in Draconic, because I think that Draconic stance proc is really nice when you're leveling. Endgame though, I prefer Shirati. So you get in a Prism stance, obviously extra force damage because you're already building force power, as well as force crit chance and spell crit, and then double rainbow, nerve venom. Pretty straightforward stuff here. You really are picking up the rest of your points here so you can get to your top tree. You grab 3 DCs here for enchant, and you grab 3 enchant DCs here as well. Enchant's really your only spell focus. So then my last tree, I just tried to tank up as much as I could. So grab some tanky stats, some energy resistance, renewal is great, some hate because you can actually hold quite a bit of aggro just with your hate because you do enough damage to hold it. Some extra AC, again some extra PRR, death block, and then I do have this when I am. I normally run an orb, but I do have a shield set just in case I want to switch to that real quick to grab aggro from something, because it is a ranged aggro grab. So you do have Intim if you need it, but a lot of the times you can just hold simply with your damage. So let's talk about the gear. So I'm going to show you what I have, and then I'm going to show you if I could choose what I had. So I actually ran a pretty simple gear set, so to give some people a simple build, this is mainly just Sharn and Feywild, which is both really easy gear to get. So I didn't even have a true weapon. I've got a level 20 weapon built in here just for some extra 55 force power, because I didn't have anything better at the time. I take it back, I've got one Dread Isle weapon. So my orb is Dread Isle, and I use it simply for the quality charisma as well as the impulse and kinetic lore bonuses. And then I've got 2-piece Autumn set for some extra universal spell power, as well as this armor does well since it has exceptional spell power and exceptional spell lore. And then I've got 4-piece Winter set for some extra hit points and defenses. So Autumn medium armor, legendary cold iron bracers, legendary shattered onyx because that's an awesome caster DC ring. It's got insightful stat for you as well as profane spell focus, so really nice. Stone shoes for my acid for insightful and quality corrosion. Gloryborn gloves simply just for, it does give me light and positive spell power, so that was nice, but it's really for the 2 sacred DCs. This is the only raid item I'm wearing. It's just the elemental ring of acid. I like it a lot. That proc that stacks the acid damage seems to proc really often. Bronze Dragon Belt for the Con Heal Amp and Sight False Life. Winter Cloak to stack up your winter pieces. This is simply just to keep my 4th winter set because I didn't have anything better, but it does give me some insight as well as Intimidate, Exceptional Intimidate, and Superior Heroism. The artifact I have is the Regal Port for the Quality Spell Focus and the Charisma. And then my head is the Crown of Snow, and I'm really using this mainly for Insightful Spell Focus because I didn't have anything else for Insightful Spell Focus. And then I literally threw on my green steel goggles because I didn't have anything better to wear right now. So, like I said, lots of room for improvement. I do want to show you real quick what I would do with the gear if I could, if I wanted to take the time to farm it out. But I'm not going to stick on this life too much longer. It's just I wanted to give myself a break from all the melees. And this is a really fun build because you literally just run, hold stuff, jump in the middle of them, and survive. So, really fun, really fast. Let me pull up my would-be gear sheet. So here you can even see my thought process as I was going through a bunch of the set bonuses of what I would do. So if it was me, I would use the Bright Gaze as my artifact for Charisma, Quality Spell Focus, Quality Potency, Radiant Glory. All good things for Warlock. Necklace would be the Pendant of Earth for the Insightful Corrosion and Insightful Impulse. And then I'd also get Insightful Acid Crit Damage for your slot. Trinket, I didn't even have a trinket yet. Cloak, I was going to switch to the, what's going to bug me? The Feywild set. I call it Feywild, but it's actually from the Sharn Docks. That's the Thimble Tips, the Gossamer Weave, and the armor. Because it gives Force, Light, Acid spell power, and spell crit, Charisma, and DC. So literally all 4 things that I want. That's what I went with. The cloak gives enchantment +5, spell pen 8, spell resistance 38. I don't really care about the illusion, but that does affect my color spray, so a little bit. The belt, I was going to pick up the Dire belt just for some extra extra defensive stats, because like I said, you do kind of get in the middle. Even on R10, you're still in the middle, so you might want some extra defense. The ring, I'm sticking with the Onyx. Like I said, it's just too good of a ring. Insightful Charisma, Profane Spell Focus, and then these are nice to have. Insightful Dodge and Insightful Resistance is also great stats, just not critical. The gloves are the Thimbletip gloves for your set bonus. Magical Efficiency, not really huge because you don't really burn through spell points, but it's still nice to have. Insightful Spell Pen and Mystic Diversion, again, not what you're really wanting. This is really just to make sure that you hit your set bonus. Boots, I was going to do the Sunken Slippers, Quality Charisma, Lesser Displacement, Insightful Potency for my light and positive damage, and Quality Potency for my light, positive, and I guess that doubles up here. Not huge, but still that's what I was going with because I need to get the Quality Charisma in there. My ring, I would stick with the ring that I've got, that Raid Acid Elemental ring. It's just a good ring. Acid Lore 22, Corrosion, and that Acid procs often. For my other set that I was going to wear, I was going to wear the Kundark set. Where is it? For the extra AC and PRR. Because I need the con item still, so I was going to use the bracers for con, resistance protection, MRR, and then I was going to use the shield as well, because I do think this is a build that can have a shield. I was using an orb right now because I needed to find the Quality Charisma, but if I had the Sunken Slippers for my Quality Charisma 3, I would use a shield. It makes you tankier. You don't need the orb, and that way you can kind of get in the middle better. But armor, again, the Sharn armor, my weapon would have been the Impulse Scepter from that chain that's slipping the top of my mind, the newer one that's in the Coin Lord Storm, man, what's it called? The Coin Lord area by the Eyes of Stone Medusa chain, not the Eyes of Stone chain, but the newer chain that's right there. Gives out all the good force spellcasting stats. And like I said, my shield would have been the other Kundark warding shield. So if I could have made it, that's what I would have went with. Oh, and then your helmet was I was going to use a Dino helmet and just run a bunch of spell crit multipliers for either acid or force, and then with a sacred DC bonus on it. So if I could have, that's what I would have done if I wanted to take the time to farm this out. But like I said, I soloed through R4 to R6 pretty easily. With the group, I do find an R10 as well. Your damage isn't really enough to do it by yourself. R10, I'd say R4 to R6 is where you cap out damage-wise to be able to solo with how tanky you are. And some of that does play into how many Reaper points you have. I've got just about 70 Reaper points. I'm right at 70 Reaper points. So that shows you how much I've got. So maybe if you don't have that much, you're more on the R4 side. Maybe if you have more, you're on the R6 side. But I've got some clips of endgame soloing R4 pretty easily. But if you're ever looking for a build to just get in the middle of everything and really fun, simple build, because everything you cast is right around you. If you're looking through my hotbar here, you've got Knight's Challenge to stun and grab aggro, hold monster mass, Shard Storm for the temporary hit points, your first Eldritch Burst, your Acid Burst is what I pretty much call it, your Tentacles to put right on top of you, the second Eldritch Burst, Dragon Breath, Wings if you need to get out, and Color Spray. So you are meant to be in there. Some other notables that you should have: you're Shining Through temporary hit points. I took Phalites because it's like Color Spray, but it works on everything. So in case there's some other champion or mob that I need to CC that I can't hold, I'll use that. Oh, my hold DC ended up being a 90. It would sit closer to about 98 in Reaper, I think. So right about 100. You definitely could get there. You could definitely get over that 100 mark with ease if you fully geared this out. There's more room. Renewal or Cocoon, obviously Intim, your Reaper bonuses. These are nice too. You can keep this up a lot of the time for some extra spell power, as well as if you need extra temporary hit points, you can use that to sacrifice it. And then I guess the last thing I didn't talk about was filigrees. The filigrees I went with.
I've done my part. Get out there and finish the job, soldier.
So I went with. I'm just gonna re-equip it and read through it. So I went with a few randoms here. So ignore the Soul Weaver, ignore the Dragon Soul. I'll take it back. It would be easier to do this. So I went through autos. I went to 4-piece autos between this and my artifact to grab the 2 DCs to everything, as well as some extra crit and some spell failure reduction, because you do need the spell failure reduction if you're using a shield. I did Melanies as well to 4-piece to get the extra charisma, as well as the DCs to my enchantment spells. Those are my 2 4-pieces. Outside of that, to fill my total of 11 slots, I just did extra charisma to get my charisma higher for my DCs. So I've got 4-piece Melanie, 4-piece auto, and 3 random charisma. My other one must be in my artifact. But through here, you usually pick up like 4 to 6 extra DCs between all the charisma and the bonuses. So that was nice. That really put me over the hump to be able to consistently get into that mid Reaper without having to worry too much about my enchantment DC. So like I said, there's definitely room to improve on this build. The gear is not finished at all, but for a super simple, fun, easy to play build, check it out. This is a lot of fun. So like always, if you have any questions, comments, any ideas to make it better, let me know. But I really do. This is probably my top 5 favorite builds to play in DDO. So if you haven't tried it before, I encourage you to try it, because it is a lot of fun. I'll catch you guys next time.